Mission Control, the space pod has landed.
Hey there, YouTubies. Okay, this vlog is going to cover oil changes for the Kawasaki Ninja 300. A couple things you're going to want to have. Oil. Synthetic is my choice, fully synthetic. This is well after break-in. You're probably going to want to stick with your factory oil until break-in, and then do another factory oil change of 600, or at least Kawasaki will handle that for you in most cases, during your first mandatory full service. And then later on go to synthetic. You'll definitely notice the difference. It's a lot better, everything's smoother. Gear changes will be easier. Oil filters I like. You can use the Kawasaki, or you can go with a K&N. K&N-303 is the model number. The reason I like this is because it has a handy 17mm 8-point bolt nut on the end, so you can use your 17mm 8-point socket, boop, and then you can turn it like this. How handy is that? It gets rid of a lot of clearance problems you might otherwise have. This is a funnel, which you can use for obvious reasons to get your oil into the bike. You can use a ratchet. Ratchet is a good thing. You're going to also need a torque wrench. And this is so you can retighten your drain bolt, because you never want to over tighten that. The drain bolt per Kawasaki is 14.5 foot-pounds. So I already have it set there. When you're loosening your oil drain bolt, use a breaker bar. You don't want to use your torque wrench, use this. Simple breaker bar. A lot of leverage because it's long. Okay, and then these are some ways that you can tighten this oil filter if you don't have a lot of clearance. This is a 17mm ratchet. This is a nice flexible 3/8 inch driver, nice and short, to get into tight areas, like maybe like this. If you have stock headers, you'll be able to use an extension like this. I'll set it up for you. And then you could put an oil cap wrench on the end of this. Put it through your headers, move your wheel out of the way, put it through your headers, and loosen it like this. There you go. So this is handy if you have stock headers. If you don't, if you have like Yosh headers like I do, you're not gonna have a straight shot, so you're gonna have to remove your right lower fairing. Last things you need are aluminum foil, so when you take your oil filter off, your oil doesn't spill all over your headers. You can channel that down into your oil drain pan. A lot of help with this came from the Kawasaki Ninja 300 forum. Finally, you want to have your service manual on iPad or tablet device. This is really handy. I already have it open to the engine oil change page, and Kawasaki has all the figures here, including the torque figures for your bolts. Okay, and this is the oil drain pan, and a little piece of cardboard here. Pretty easy. So you can see I have the bike on stands. Rear stand first, always, then front stand if you have one. If you don't have one, Woodcraft, highly recommended. We're going to remove this right fairing. Keep in mind that we're going to want to run the bike and get it warm before we drain the oil. The reason you do that is because it lets the oil drain as completely as you can reasonably expect it to drain. So cold oil does not drain very well. It's extremely viscous. If you warm it up, it will drain much more completely, and you can do a more complete oil change, which is the entire point. Okay, that's just dirt. The other day on a ride, yesterday, I noticed my kickstand was really sticky. It ended up just being lube, a little WD-40, which means water displacement attempt number 40. That did the trick for me. Now normally you don't have to remove this fairing, but it does make it easier if you have an aftermarket header that doesn't allow you access to the filter. And this clip is always fun. Now, good thing about a front stand, you can just turn the wheel out of your way. For this, you're going to need a screwdriver. Okay. Righto, mate. Sleep mode, iPad, don't waste my battery. Hello, I like to change oil every day. Now, on a bike, you don't need to change your oil, you know, every 3,000 miles approximately is not a bad guide. But really, it depends. You know, oil these days lasts kind of a long time. But, you know, bikes are higher performance than cars. So it's up to you. I mean, you can do it religiously every 3K, or, you know, whenever you feel that things aren't shifting as well as you'd like and the engine isn't running as smoothly, that's maybe the time to think about it. It really depends on how much you ride. And, yeah, everyone has different preferences for that. There's another plastic thingy under here, so I forgot that. Put a screwdriver in there, flathead, and twist, and you're in biz. A little tricky, but Space Pod. I'm gonna actually change that sticker, make it silver in all caps. That's my official logo. Okay, so now that you've done that, now the drain bolt. This is your drain bolt right here. Now keep in mind that when your oil's warm, it's going to shoot out. So you always want to favor away from where the oil is going to come out. Trust me, I know that. I've done it enough. Okay, now let's start the bike. Make sure you have some ventilation. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to start the bike and let it warm up for 5 minutes. So some people like to, they would like to ride their bikes. You can do that. I just usually just let it idle for 5 minutes and we're good to go. Heat it up a little bit. So while you're doing that, you can probably get everything else ready if you haven't already. Latex gloves, always a good idea. Looks like I'm down to one. One is better than none. These mechanic gloves are always handy as well for messy jobs. And double shot espresso. Okay, the oil drain bolt is the same size, 17 millimeter, as the K&N. So sometimes you'll need an adapter for these breaker bars, 1/2 inch to 3/8. And then your 17 mil socket, make sure this oil pan has plenty of clearance. And then it shouldn't take too much torque to do this. Oh geez, is it that loose? It was really loose. Okay. Okay, get ready. So you want your pan almost at the edge of this right here, because it's going to go that way, especially when it's thin. So below and then out. If you drop it, don't worry about it. Okay, get ready, and this is going to be quick. See, there we go. Make sure that your washer is on here. If not, it could be stuck. Okay, now as it goes back, you can push this back. Normally, I don't even see a washer on there. Do I need a washer? That is the question, huh? Ah, see? There's the washer. Maybe I can reuse that. Okay, so the oil's warmed up. We'll get a nice thorough emptying, and there'll be more when you do your oil filter. So we're going to do that next. Yeah, see how that washer just came off? Okay, so that's not a crush washer, that's just a washer. I'm going to reuse it. I'm going to set that aside on a clean surface. This goes right here. Let that drain. Always good to have some shop rags handy. Okay, now we're gonna build a fort. We're gonna build a channel with aluminum foil so that when we remove the oil filter, the oil doesn't get all over the headers. Because that would be bad, okay? Don't you bad? Spilled oil's bad. Don't want to spill your oil. Because oil spilling is bad, okay? Now this involves some kind of ancient origami. Okay, now we just revved up the engine, or we idled it, so careful. Hot surface. Yes, it's quite warm. So I'm being very, very gentle. Make a nice chasm, and once we can move this, we will. Careful, it's hot. Okay, so now we're going to try to get this off without knocking anything out of the way. Now I've got the oil filter cap on there already. So all I have to do is put this in here, and I should be ready to loosen. Okay. Okay, this is just with pure strength. Okay, it's not that tight. It's working. Make sure that your foil doesn't get moved by the force of the oil coming out. And don't burn yourself by touching your bare hand to the headers like I just did. Thankfully I wrapped it around enough where it's not an issue. Normally before you would take this off, you would give it a counter twist. Okay, and make sure when you take your old oil filter off that this rubber ring is intact, because if it's still on there and you put a new one on there, you're going to have seal problems. Okay, looks sufficiently coated. Okay, now we're going to fill this up about quarter halfway. Wow, I love this filler thingy. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. That feels right. Perfect. 303. K&N 303 is what you want. So hand tight. Some people just do hand tight. You don't need a lot of torque on those. You never want to strip your nut or your bolt there. But we're going to check the figures. This is why you want a service manual. Okay. So oil filter should be 12.9 foot-pound. I like to do it by the book, especially when I'm doing a vlog. Make sure you're looking at foot-pounds and not Newton meters. Okay, now we'll experience the value of the K&N nut being on there. Geez, hopefully I got enough room here. If not, I'm going to have to just wing it, because I don't have a lot of space. So, wing it is. Doesn't need to be that tight, boys and girls. So this is where the handy stubby wrench comes in handy, the swivel wrench. Swivel ratchet. So 12 pounds is about a decent amount of force, but not really that much. That's good. Perfect. A little bit past hand tight, but not too tight. Okay, now that's gonna not let any oil out, so we need to put this back, and we're gonna reuse that. And I'm gonna set this to 14.5 again. So we're gonna reuse this, because that's not a crush washer, that's just a washer. Okay. Make sure you don't strip it. That's perfect. Just like that. Nice, goes on nice and easily. Freely spinning. Good job. Clean it up before you tighten. Leave this here just in case there's leaks. Okay, now we're gonna put our 17 back on. Okay, we're gonna torque it till we hear the click, which is right there already. Wow, yeah, it's not very tight. Trust your torque. That's why we do this. Okay, now for the fun part, new oil. How much do we need? Let's find out. Your oil filter sight glass. There's your sight glass right there. Okay, it's nice and it's clean enough. Okay, let's figure out how much oil we need. And then we'll eyeball it in the sight glass. Capacity is 2 liters. That's not very much. When filter is not removed. Filter is removed, it's 2.2 liter. So not very much. So we're gonna do this first. Make sure this is out of the way so this doesn't fall here. Okay, and this filler makes it nice and easy. You don't even need a funnel. So we know this is less than 1 liter. All of this can go in. Now what I like to do is I use the bigger jugs as a way to carry my old oil to the auto store for recycling. Definitely want to recycle it. Don't just toss it in the dirt or something. That's never a good idea. And it's environmentally irresponsible. So you want to make sure you recycle it. Sight glass still low. So now we want about another liter. That's assuming a totally dry engine, which there's probably still some oil from the old batch still in there. So I'm going to do about 2 liters to be safe. Okay, funnel time. There's your sight glass. Keep an eye on that. Go ahead and fill her up. Okay, sight glass is exactly where I want it. You want it between the lines. But that's good. It's halfway. So we're going to run it and see what happens. See if that changes. Leave the oil pan here for now, just in case any disasters occur. Nothing should happen. In fact, I think I'm going to remove the tin foil before the headers get hot again. And we can wipe down this area. Make it all tidy. This way if there's a leak we can see it. Okay, same with this. Make it tidy in case there's a leak. Position the oil pan underneath. Capillary action is busy sucking up the oil. Capillary action is awesome. And we want to watch for leaks. If there's no leaks, we'll put everything back together. Okay, no leaks, that's good. Old oil. What do we do with it? I put it in here. Usually. Or I will put it in, yeah, I put it here generally. You can directly take this for recycling or you can pour it into a jug. This is nice because it's easy to pour. So now we want to check the sight glass. It's going to settle a bit, it'll raise back up, the level will raise back up because the oil is going through the engine, so it'll take a little while to settle. So we're going to wait just a tick, we're going to clean up, and then we're going to fill back up in a bit. Okay, oil level's good. Basically refilled it after idle. It's definitely at the right level. So we're going to put the lower fairing back on. just as it came off. Pretty straightforward there. Alright, that concludes the Ninja ZX3R or Ninja 300 oil change. I ran the engine, idled it, filled it back up, and the sight glass is now at a good point. Thanks to everyone at the Kawasaki Ninja300.com forums for all your help, tips, and tricks, because I did have some questions before I did this. And that's it. If you want your very own ZX3R sticker, go to spacepod.com under the merch section. That is it. Thanks for watching. Any comments, leave them below. And Spacepod out. ZX3R dive.